Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tipped. Julian here for the final episode of the regular season content that I have for you guys. After this, my job here for the fantasy season is done. This is the very last weekend episode of the season. Before we jump into it, guys, if I've helped you at all this season, drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's jump right into it, guys, and let's take a look at the schedule for this weekend, which is really just the week's end because the week ends on Thursday. So I'm looking at the weekend as Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So as you can see on Tuesday, there are 8 games. On Wednesday, there are 4. And on Thursday, there are 6. Which means in all likelihood, you have room on all 3 nights to add players for. So there's a lot of players that play Monday and then don't play for the rest of the week. If you watched my last few videos, you know that that's true. And you could be dropping those players for guys that play still 2 games after Monday. So that's definitely a really good strategy that I'm encouraging everybody to use. And if you need someone that plays on Tuesday and Wednesday, that means you have room in your lineup on Tuesday. Well, the only team that plays those 2 days is the Toronto Maple Leafs. The number 1 guy to be adding from the Leafs is Jake McCabe. He gives you a pretty safe floor night in and night out with pretty good peripherals and occasionally puts up a point as well. Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi are the next best guys to be grabbing. They play on the top line with Austin Matthews, and the way that Austin Matthews is playing right now, definitely good guys to be adding. And Matthews may not be benched or rested at all, which is great for Matthews owners and for Bertuzzi and Domi owners because they want Matthews to hit that 70 goals. Bobby McMann is the next guy I would go for playing on the second line, but did get injured last game, so they may be cautious with him and not play him. So just be aware of that before you pick him up. Make sure he gets the green light for the next game before you pick up Bobby McMann. Timothy Liljegren just came back from injury. Is usually a pretty decent PP2 guy with some decent peripherals. Nick Robertson is playing on the third line in Toronto with Nylander, so it's definitely not a terrible deployment. Simon Benoit is a guy who's really just there for the hits. So if you need hits, Simon Benoit is definitely a guy you could be going for here. And then Matthew Knies is a guy playing on the 4th line, but still puts up a pretty safe floor with points and with some peripherals. If you want someone for Tuesday and Thursday, there are a few more teams to be choosing from. The Calgary Flames, the Chicago Blackhawks, the Seattle Kraken, the Vancouver Canucks, the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Winnipeg Jets. The number 1 guy I'd go for from those teams is Nazem Kadri, if somehow he's available in your league. He's 77% rostered and definitely the guy I'd go for. He's playing really, really well right now. And somehow, if you're in an 8-man league and he's available, definitely a guy who would help you out a lot for 2 games. William Karlsson's also super hot for Vegas. Definitely not a bad ad there. Andrei Kuzmenko is insanely hot right now. Honestly, was tempted to put him even higher on this list, but the guy is really, really on a roll right now and definitely a fantastic ad. If I had a Manscaped must-add player this video, it would be Andrei Kuzmenko. Dakota Joshua is also playing really well, alternating kind of between the 2nd and 3rd lines over there in Vancouver, putting up a safe floor with the hits. Nikolai Ehlers is playing on the 2nd line with Monahan and Toffoli, which is a great deployment. Not PP1, but still very talented kid. Then obviously Tomas Hertl is a great player. He's playing center between Chandler Stevenson and Pavel Dorofeyev on the 2nd line right now, and the dude's very, very talented, so definitely an excellent ad there as well. Gabriel Velarde's playing on the top line and top power play with Kyle Connor and Scheifele. Definitely, he's a guy who could win you your week single-handedly because he can explode any given night. Igor Sharangovich is pretty hot right now, playing on the 2nd line with Backlund and Mangiapane, as well as the top power play. And as long as he's putting up points, he's going to contribute to your team. Connor Garland is playing on the 3rd line on a very good 3rd line in Vancouver with Lindholm and Joshua. So definitely a guy who has been scoring goals and putting up points and can continue to do so. We got Oliver Bjorkstrand who's playing on the same line he's basically been playing on all year with Gord and Tolvanen, and he's been really solid all year. Probably the most consistent player on the Kraken, if not at least top 3 most consistent players on the Kraken. Very, very good player and is definitely not a bad streamer for 2 games that the Kraken have. Sean Monahan is playing on the 2nd line with Toffoli and Ehlers, like I mentioned. He's doing pretty well right now, so definitely a great streamer there as well. Martin Pospisil is playing on the top line with Kadri and Kuzmenko, 2 guys who I mentioned are really hot right now. So Pospisil is putting up points, and he's also always gives you a very safe floor because he hits a lot. Then Kurashev's playing top line and top power play with Connor Bedard, which is a great deployment. He's been putting up points basically every single night, doing really, really well on that line with Bedard, so definitely a very, very solid streamer. And finally, Shane Wright, who hopefully gets called back up for Seattle's last couple games here. Obviously, I would wait to pick him up to make sure he does get called back up, because otherwise it's kind of waste of an ad here. But Shane Wright has been playing really, really well for Seattle. And so if he continues to play, he is a very, very good ad in deep leagues because he definitely could put up some points for you. If you want someone that plays both Wednesday and Thursday, the Oilers are your best bet because they are the only team that plays Wednesday and Thursday. So if you have a player that plays on Tuesday and then doesn't play for Wednesday or Thursday, it's definitely a good idea to drop them for an Edmonton Oiler here. And the best one to grab would be Evander Kane, who seems to be back hot right now for Edmonton, which is really nice to see. Ekholm has obviously been incredible lately, so definitely another guy who, if somehow he's available, is an excellent ad. Henrique would be the next guy I'd go for here. Warren Fogle, who's playing on the second line, is the next guy I would go for. And then Cody Ceci, who puts up some decent peripherals, better than you probably think. It would be the next guy I'd go for. Then McLeod and Perry are playing third line in Edmonton and are kind of more desperation ads. But at this point, there's nobody else you could be adding here. You're at least getting 2 games from these two guys, or 1 if you're adding just for the Thursday. Whatever it is, guys, you're getting 2 games from these guys, and even though they're not the greatest players in the world, 2 games could be a difference maker here. Anybody not on this list, I probably wouldn't add from Edmonton. I'd probably just take 1 game from a team who was only playing 1 game rather than 2 games from another Oiler. Jumping into the categories league section of this video, and if you need shots on goal, Nazem Kadri would be your #1 ad, shooting 3.3 times per game. So over 2 games would shoot 6-7 times, which is really, really good. Evander Kane, 2.9. Ehlers, 2.8. Backlund and Seth Jones and Velarde, 2.6 shots per game. Garland, 2.4. Warren Fogle, 2.3. And Pavel Dorofeev, for a deep league option, shoots 2.1 times per game and also has kind of a nice points upside as well. If you need blocks, #1 guy is Braden McNabb, just because Martinez seems to be getting healthy scratch. If you know for sure Martinez is not getting healthy scratch, Martinez is your best bet for blocks, but McNabb is a little bit safer, 2.6 blocks per game, so over 2 games you'll get about 5. Murphy, 2.4. Rasmus Anderson, 2.4. Liljegren, 2.2. Ian Cole, 2.1. Alexiak, 2.1. And Lyubushkin, 2.3 average over the year, but since he got traded to Toronto, that average has gone down a little bit, which is why I have him at #7. If you need hits, #1 guy is Dakota Joshua, who hits 3.9 times per game. So over 2 games, you should get between 7 and 8 hits, which is absolutely fantastic. Simon Benoit, 3.8. Pospisil, 3.8. Podkolzin, 3.6. Keegan Kolesar, 3.5. Ryan Reeves and Evander Kane, both 3.2. And Brendan Dillon and Paul Cotter, both 3.1 hits per game. If you need face-off wins, your #1 guy that you want to be adding here is Tomas Hertl, assuming they do not bench him during these 2 games. He wins 10.6 face-offs per game on average, so could get you, in theory, 21 face-off wins, which is really great. Lindholm wins 10.1 face-offs per game. Backlund 9.5, Lowry 8.4, Monahan also 8.4, Carlson 7.8, Dickinson 7.7, and Matty Beniers 6.8, although it's been significantly higher lately. And that's it, guys. That's all the content I have for you this season. So I really hope that you enjoyed this episode as well as all the content I've put out for you all season long. I want to wish you guys all the best luck this week. And hopefully you guys take home that fantasy hockey trophy and all the prize money that comes with it. Best of luck, guys, and I will catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped, where if you want to, you guys can join my playoff hockey pool. More details to come in the next episode. Take care, guys, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.